Yeah. That'd be right up
Ready.
our alley.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Start with the national pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the November 12 regular scheduled meeting of the Pipestone County Commissioners. Present are Luke Johnson, Commissioner Doug Nagel, Commissioner Dan Wildermuth, Commissioner Chris Fallingworth, myself, Dallas Roski, Steve Ewing, County Administrator, Carrie Menace, HR person. Any other announcements? Anything about the agenda that has to be amended, changed?
Chairman, a couple items here. Nick Bergman is out ill today, so Jared will be taking care of the presentation for the road and bridge items. Kyle Creer is out today. Got a family member having surgery today, so he will not be here. So I will take care of the solid waste resolution. And Sheriff Reeman and Chief Deputy Heyman will be here at 9:45. They will be bringing the information for the dispatch remodel proposal to you then. They're still getting things together as we speak. I just talked to them a few minutes ago. On the back page, please delete the Rebuilding Together Minnesota Affordable Housing Aid Agreement. That's not ready yet. Commissioners, myself and Commissioner Wildermuth and Commissioner Nagel had a Zoom meeting last week with them and got some good information, but we're not ready to act on it yet today.
Okay,
Those are my changes, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Considering those changes, I'll just entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on that? This way. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And we go to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of 10/22/24. Approve auditors warrants of 10/25/24, 11/1/24, 11/8/24. Approve commissioners warrants. Approve hospital warrants of $528,325.56. Approve Pipestone County Medical Center offline warrants of $1,401,324.65. Approve treasurer's report October 24.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Thank you. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's carried. Jared, you're up. Welcome. We don't bite too much.
Very often. Hopefully. Okay, so,
You're usually just hiding in the back, huh?
all right. So first thing would be project updates. On your sheets there. Nothing to report on the overlays. ANC excavating on the first contract for box culverts for 2024. They began work on October 22nd. And currently this morning, they're working on the third one of those three. So progress is moving along quite quickly on those. Midwest Contracting, they have contract number 2. They informed us that it's possible that they may do some work this fall, which would probably be on County Road 25 east of town, if anything, because that's a shorter amount of culvert that they could possibly get made. So that's all weather dependent at this point. On the second page, Stone Arch Bridge Rehab, we had the ribbon cutting on last Monday, the 4th of November. And it is now open to traffic. And we possibly will need to do some additional grading work on the south side to transition that into the bridge. Otherwise, it's open and we had a good turnout at the ribbon cutting.
Ribbon cutting went really well. That was kind of a fun event. The press for covering it for us as well too. That's always nice. And the weather wasn't too bad for November.
Right. Never know what we'll get. So it was very good. The gravel project on County Road 17. We'll be looking to approve that final today on that, so. So that's updates on projects we have going on. Next item would be the Title VI program, looking at approving that. Just a couple notes. In order to receive federal funding, this is a document that we need to have approved at the county board level. The document in front of you is just a template basically from the state that other counties have used as well, that we made a couple modifications to, just to fit, you know, Pipestone County specific. So, also just a note, these are, you know, things that we would already are doing. So, it isn't anything additional that is required. It's just basically a formality that we need to, have in place to ensure federal funding. So.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
There's a motion to approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
Okay, thank you. Next item, the signs on US Highway 75. MnDOT has informed us that they will send a representative down to attend the board meeting January 14th of 2025 to discuss that further. So just an update there.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Steve, can we make sure that we make notation on the county's website, so we have interested parties here attend that meeting? There was been a lot of discussion about this, and I want MnDOT to have to face our people eye to eye and explain why they haven't put the signs back up. So if we could do that, and if the press could give us a plug, that'd be great too. So I hope that we get a turnout for that.
There's several people have talked to me about when the
They're
meeting
coming.
was. Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's what we need. We look for and encourage citizen participation. This is a good example of it. So.
As we get closer, I'm sure we'll get the exact time they're gonna be here, so we'll
Yep.
get that figured out. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that's all I had on that item. The next one would be a request for board action to approve the final payment to WMD Saponiak Incorporated out of Holdingford, Minnesota, in the amount of $24,560.05. This would be paid as an auditor's warrant. The original contract amount was $452,142.81. The work certified to date is $491,200.94, which results in that variance for the final payment.
Chair, I move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
So this was all placed on County Road 17. None of this was stockpiled.
Correct.
Okay.
So the extra was just for extra gravel or?
The extra resulted in, we kept back, the contractor had about 12,000 tons of the same class of gravel that we used in the pit just across the section. And so we decided this allowed us to keep the 12,000 tons out of the pile that we put up for our own use in case we had flooding issues or things like that.
Okay.
So we paid that at the bid price that they bid in that alternate proposal. So.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. It's carried.
Okay, thank you. And my final item for this morning would be to approve the bonding agreement for the replacement of the bridge culvert on County Road 15, just south of Verdi. That'd be for SAP 059615043. That's again, a standard agreement that we have in place with the state in order to get bonding funds to help replace that culvert on a state aid road, so.
I'd move for approval.
Thank you. Is there support?
I will second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
And just a few maintenance updates. We did get that shouldering machine picked up from Murray County, so we have that now. The maintenance staff is working on finishing up mowing shoulders, so the grass, everything's mowed off there. They worked on the patch on County Road 56 out by Lewis, just south of that intersection. They're doing a little bit of spot graveling here while we have moisture to help place that and get that to stay in place. And they're continuing to prep the equipment for plowing snow. So they got,
And we're down a man
yep, back
again.
down one again,
Again.
so.
Gary needs something to do. So
That's right.
we made the mistake of saying we were fully staffed last month.
Kiss of death.
Yeah.
Whenever we say that.
Right, so just say that anymore.
Means if I said it, so I'll take one.
Jared, you short in maintenance or in engineering? Where's the shortage?
Both. But we're down one in maintenance right now. again,
Edgerton
so.
area.
Okay.
You comfortable giving out the name or not?
What's that?
Are you comfortable giving out the name or not?
I am
Yeah.
Lauren Gunning.
Lauren Gunnick,
Accepted a different job.
Moving on, okay.
position, so.
Did he go through, the CDL training?
Yes.
We
paid for that.
We paid for that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
But his new job doesn't require a CDL, so
Well, we paid for it. So.
he's got it. Anything else for?
Yeah, anything else for the highway department?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, you can, then we get Dallas to sign them. Okay, we'll do.
Uh-oh, Steve bailed on us. We're in trouble.
Yeah, with the CDL, that's unfortunate. But again, for as difficult as it is to hire employees, it'd be counterproductive to put some kind of clawback,
I think some companies, if they leave within a certain time,
certain period of time. Yep.
then there's payback, like a partial payback. or something.
Thanks, Steve.
We don't have that policy in place, so.
Well, we can look at that.
Yeah, but my thought is for as difficult it is to recruit now, would that just be another barrier? I don't know if it would or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Be a little bit of a guarantee. maybe.
Yeah. So I don't know what kind of investment we got in that.
Softball.
Yeah, okay, you bet. That you'd like to add to it, great.
Mr. Steve.
Okay. I was coming to you this morning to recommend a resolution establishing the solid waste management fees. And the recommendation to the board was to increase the fee to $44 per unit from $36 per unit. And I have in front of you is a sheet that Kyle had given the board and the solid waste committee regarding the increases. And recommendation from the committee was to bring this to the board for an increase to $44. Excuse me. And if Kyle was here, he could give you a lot more information on it.
I was just curious, when was the last time that this was changed? As far as the amount? I know it goes back quite a ways, but I
Oh,
don't
my.
recall exactly when.
I'm sorry, I don't have that date in front of you.
When we met with Kyle, in the Solid Waste Committee, I think we talked about it, and I don't recall the date either, but it was many years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time. I'm with inflation and whatnot. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just keeping pace.
And I believe also Kyle mentioned that, you know, comparing ourselves to other counties, that we are still below the average.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, by quite a bit.
Hello.
I want to say it's probably in the like 2000, before 2010.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, Mr. Chair, as a member of this committee, Luke and I will move that we do approve this increase in our solid waste fee.
Okay, is there support for that?
Second.
Any other discussion? Is this assessed per
Household.
household? Not not necessarily per land tract?
I think it's for, yeah.
I think it's household.
Household.
I think it is.
Or taxpayer ID number, however it's
It's-
not per track.
Yeah, it's per living unit base, you know,
Okay.
per family or whatever.
Any other questions?
It's not per parcel. It's just per household.
Remember when I was on the Elmer Township Board, we were assessed that and we wondered why, because it was just a building in Trosky and we didn't generate anything there. We just met once a month, but we were told we couldn't get it off, so we kept paying it. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Carried.
Sure, thank you. I'll get with Kyle when he gets back and I'll get you the date when it first started too.
Personnel, you want to jump into personnel? Good morning, Carrie.
Morning.
And happy veterans that have served. Board action, just an update. So we finished open enrollment last Friday at midnight. So this week will be heavy analytical kind of comparison between last year and this year, and then finalizing those enrollments and then moving them over to CPT. So Nick and I hadn't connected yet about getting the job posted for Lauren Gunnick's replacement. That will be happening as soon as he's back. And then the request for board action, per our normal policy, Ryan Lubke requested a credit card for the IT department. And he filled out all the appropriate paperwork. And so I'm bringing that request to you now.
Chair, move for approval.
Thank you. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you. This is our new IT guy. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
Any other updates for you guys? I don't think.
No other words of wisdom for us?
Other than what I'll share offline regarding
Okay,
the situation. Okay.
Thank you.
thanks, Gary.
I can get Bill.
Sure.
Oh, they can.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Everyone should have the documents from Bill. He'll be right in.
Better there.
Right.
Morning. Bill Folger, IT Director.
All right. I've got a first set of quotes to go over here with the board request. This is for another NAS. It'll replace the sand, the old sand we've been using for backup storage, and this is storage for our logging. It has to be separate from everything else. That NAS we've had since 2014, so we've got our money out of it. And as the hard drives start to die, we haven't been replacing them. So this is where we're at with that. Morris Electronics seem to have the best price for exactly the same thing. Any questions about it or?
Chair, move for approval, the bid for Morris Electronics.
I will second.
You, any other questions for Bill?
Just got a comment, I'm familiar with the Buffalo Terror Station and stuff like that, and it's, I know from our, over there, we had well over 10 years out of the first one that we had, and compared to the second one we went to, I'd definitely say the Buffalo was superior of the two, so
Yeah,
this is a really good product. So.
yep, we have several of them now. We must have six of them. And one of them was our original one, and we've put new hard drives in it twice. They just go and go.
Any other questions for Bill? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's carried.
So the second thing I have for you here is just a bare quote from Westivity. This is a pretty good price for this, but I am having a hard time getting any other quotes for anything. For either these larger ones are 10 row, and I need some 3 row ones too. And there's just, they don't get back to me. The last server I bought here, it took an extra month just to get it delivered. So what I was thinking was if the board would authorize me up to $35,000, I will hunt around and just pull the trigger on a deal when I find, and that'll be very comparable to this single quote I got. If I can't find anything, I'll come back next month.
You want that as a action from the board?
Chair, move for approval.
Thank you. Is there support?
I will second.
You. That way you have authority to just order it when it shows up,
Right.
when you find one. Yeah. I understand that's prudent to do that instead of waiting for, come back to us to approve it again.
Thing.
Yeah, but we appreciate you coming this time though to prove it, pre-approve it, so.
Sure.
Any other questions on this motion?
I'm not clear what this is, Bill.
These are switches. This is what connects all the PCs and all the servers together and with the firewall for our egress and ingress. So the switches we have now, they were end of life when we bought them, but they're really, really solid and they have been. So this would be moving into another one that's just about to go into life from Cisco. It's the upgraded version of what we currently have. So that's what they are. They're,
Okay.
And how long have the current ones lasted?
we bought the first one in 2008. It's still running, and the last few we bought were in 15, 16.
When's the last time they've had updates, or they've probably stopped doing them for a number of years and sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's code out there. Every time they release code, it's usually with all their other hardware. And we keep everything up to date, but we'll lose a port here and there every once in a while or a whole line card, but that's where we are. We're just, they're used up or getting there. So it's time to replace them.
And the issues seem to compile too, once they start having issues too.
Could
old
happen.
switches, so.
Yep.
So, yep.
Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Great. Thank you very much.
Just let us know if you get something bought or whatever, so.
Chris's insight on this as well too, with your experience. I don't really talk about half the time, so I'm glad you understand it. I
It's-
don't want to
it's,
deal
uh,
with right now, the aging switches where I'm at and it's,
And it's a catalyst.
yeah, it's cattle. Yeah, but it's end of life.
No.
End of life issues are more talked about with machinery than at the hospital. I know that.
That's why we have Bill.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Bill does not steer us wrong. He tries to find the
Oh,
best
no.
values he can for what he can. He's a good scrounger too.
Oh, yeah.
He's got
He rebuilds anything he
lots,
can.
oh yeah, so, you know, vendors out there that he can get stuff from, so.
That's a
definitely
challenge
trying
for
to
him.
take care- Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to take care of us financially. And equipment wise too. Chairman, I apologize for the gaps in our
problem.
business today.
No problem. We're just so efficient that we can go to committee reports. Anybody ready?
I'm ready.
Go for it, Doug.
Uh, Month of October, Prime West Health on, the 3rd. Regular board meeting on the 8th, Oil and Water on the 10th. Nothing new there. 15th, we did the cannabis committee to develop the ordinance. So, coming, I guess. 16th, Health and Human Services at Marshall. 22nd, regular board meeting here and the hospital. And then the 24th was AMC district meeting at Lake Benton.
Thank you. Who's ready? Luke.
On the 9th, they had District 8 land use. You know, I think a lot of the counties around us that have access to transmission are getting more wind and solar. Of course, we're in touch because capacity. Excuse me. 14th, I had plant ops. On the 21st, at a MRC Bowser meeting regarding wetland credits. They keep trying to encourage them to have DNR create some wetland credits on their property, since it's our property. And, you know, as a money saver. On 22nd, at the hospital board. On 23rd, Highway 23 Coalition. 24th, a district meeting for AMC. On the 29th, went to that where they released the survey results. The childcare. Dan was there too, and that was kind of interesting. The overregulation is ridiculous for childcare. It's no wonder nobody wants to do it, but and the first AMC had their board meeting. We approved the 2025 budget. And on the 4th, we had the ribbon cutting, of course, at Stone Arch, and then had a Highway 23 Priority Projects Committee meeting. I think we're gonna have basically the same priorities as, you know, last year, the extending the 4-lane by Wilmer and the 2 studies for Marshall to Granite Falls and Foley to Mora. You know, we've got requests in for congressionally directed spending and as well as at the state level. But I mean, the cost for those things just keeps going up and I try to figure out ways to get a bigger pool of money to be able to cover it. Had the MHA trustee council on Wednesday, the 6th, you know, working toward the conference in January. And they did just announce that yesterday, so hopefully everyone will be able to make it, since at least a couple of our members should be getting their recognition for completing training and whatnot. Yesterday had plant ops at the hospital. And just an update from MRC, 2 more counties have joined recently, Benton and Rice, so we're up to 46 counties.
Thank you. Dan, are you ready?
On the 2nd of October, we had a transportation roundtable meeting up in Marshall. And this was with Senator Tina Smith's representatives talking about the difficulties that we face with transportation. It was a good informational meeting, got some information back to our representative. Then on the third, we had Prime West, up in Alex. On the seventh, we had, that was a Zoom that I didn't participate in. On the eighth, I had quality control for Prime West. That was a Zoom meeting, as our QCC, similar to what we do at the hospital board as well too. On the 11th, Friday the 11th, we had our Southwest 18 mental health consortium meeting. And then also follow up on that, then we just had our other one for November last week. And all of the joint power agreements have been signed by all 18 counties. And we went through our organizational part of it and our bylaws and so forth, so we're all set there. Then on the 16th, I had Southwest Health and Human Services. On the 14th, we had our District 8 meeting, like Ben, we'd all talked about already. County Board, of course, on the 22nd. On the 23rd, I attended the Senior Citizens ribbon cutting at the Schroeder Center. That was interesting or noteworthy. On the 24th, then, we had our AMC District 8 meeting. And that was in Lake Maniac, excuse me, I already mentioned that. On the 28th, we had our law enforcement liaison meeting then with our local department. Also, it was the first time that our new county representative then attended, Jabari Bryant. He's now as our citizen liaison representative on that board as well. On the 29th, we had that child care town hall meeting that Luke mentioned or referred to. Good turnout for that. And on the 31st, I had my ACE annual meeting up in Marshall. Just recognition of all the work that we do with the ACE group. And that concludes my report for the month.
Thank you. Chris, can you hold?
Yeah, I was gonna say what's about.
We don't want to keep the officers waiting.
You bet.
Come on up. Might have to bring a chair or. Thank you.
Morning.
Hello. Morning, Keith.
We've been working on remodeling our dispatch center, looking at for a number of years now. And we finally got stuff together, some quotes. We went to numerous different places looking at what they had to offer. Different companies got different bids and stuff, and I think we finally got it ready to move forward. It would be, we wouldn't start it till, I'm sure it'll be next February probably. Hopefully have it done by spring, so. I can, Kelsey and Rita have been doing a lot of the work on this, getting bids and stuff, so. The first thing, the main thing, why Bix quote? Bix, that's for the actual desk. We basically got this back down the walls, everything, carpet, everything have to come out. We've been working close with Bill and his group, making sure everything's gonna work out up there. And this is what we came up with for the desk. We did had to do a lot of remeasuring and stuff, and dispatchers put a lot of opinion into what the desk will go up, the screens will go up separately, and they can move them all around. It'll be, after sitting there for 12 hours, it'd be nice to have a different configuration for them to stand up or sit down or whatever, so. That was the biggest one. That was 105,000 for, and that also includes the desk out in we now have one of the dispatch areas out in our office. That would include that.
And these are all custom built to fit that space.
Yes,
It's not.
they came and laser measured everything and got our opinion what we wanted and stuff, so this is okay what we came up with.
Does this mean you'll be down for a while?
No. Last year we moved that one dispatch out into the office.
Okay.
So we can use that. It'll be a little bit touch and go. What we'll do is like Murray County's our backup. We'll make sure they know that they may be getting calls. But no, so we'll still be able to, we won't mess with that one until we got the other ones done.
Sure.
We should be able to keep going the way we are, so.
Okay.
And the only reason you'd have to defer to Murray County is if you had just a huge inrush of calls at one time. Yep.
Right. That's that bid, and then, Jared, you talked with Jared, Mike, you want to go over that?
Yeah, so on Jares Electric, the quote from Jares Electric was basically the work we need done for the infrastructure, for the electrical, the data cables, the ports, that some of that stuff that changes up there. So everything will be taken out, like the sheriff said, in the room currently, but then the new furniture needs its own power support. Supplies separated out in certain cases for the UPSs and the data poles and ports that need to be there, and IT's met with us, met with Jares Electric when we met with them. And so that's basically for anything that's gonna be needed in that room. We're adding quite a bit of electrical outlets. We're moving a panel box that's up there now. That's worked great when it was put in 2000 or 2001 was when the current situation was remodeled. But now we've got enough room downstairs in the panel behind us. That was redone about 2.5 years ago when when that was redone, this was on our sights in the horizon. So there's enough breakers down here now to move that panel down here, which is all in one location reasons.
Mike, do you have any UPSs built into the system as well too?
All of our own standalone UPSs that are currently using is what we'll use moving forward. And that's again coordinated with IT, and there's room in this furniture for those UPSs to be stored in. Where now they're kind of in the open, some at foot level, some at head level, you know, we kind of got them wherever it'll fit, but this will more centrally locate those UPSs. As a result, as it refers to each dispatch position within that center.
There's a lot of stuff that'll be gone, that's up there now, then it's just outdated, we just don't need them.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just in the way.
A big part of this remodel and IT as well, Bill and us have been talking, is we're gonna be able to take a lot of the abandoned infrastructure over the years that we just abandoned and didn't take out because it was not cost effective to remove. It can get removed now. So a lot of things have changed in the last 23 or 4 years. So there's a lot of stuff up there that can be brought out and taken out. And as we've updated stuff, we'll reuse a lot of that.
And just so, we'll go over the prices later, but we get a amount of money every year from the state that's restricted for pretty limited things for dispatch. We've been working with the guy from the state that controls all this. Everything today we're proposing would be available underneath that money. So we can talk about that later, but it's all, we've approved everything through him that we can use our restricted money for, which we do have. Alpha Wireless there.
We did Alpha Wireless in 2 phases. The first phase is the quote that's in front of us today. This is the larger of the 2. Phase 1 being the main room itself. Things need to be taken out, safely stored somewhere. Maybe not terminating some things, but rolling up, organizing where we're going to reuse a lot of those data. And then of course reinstalling once the furniture's in. And that the bulk of that is happening in the dispatch room itself because there's 2 positions there. Phase 2, which we don't have in the quote today, is that what we call position 3. That's in the squad room as our backup, where when things are happening and things are going on, there's another person sitting over there for a second or third dispatcher when needed, which is needed from time to time. But when we get to that point, that'll be phase 2, and we don't have that included today. That won't be near as monetarily high as this is. That's going to be simply pulling it out, putting stuff to the side, putting the furniture in, putting it back together again.
We have to have a special carpet, static resistant. And it's, 500, and the day we tear everything out, they'll be ready to come install that, so. Everything's gotta be coordinated, you know, so we can get all done at once, so. They came up and measured, gave us a quote for that.
On the ceiling, we weren't originally going to redo the ceiling in the room, but after talking in IT, it was
seemed like kind of a no-brainer to be doing that at this time, as deep as we were into the remodel. And there's a lot of things up there that we also can abandon, or with that is abandoned, that we can remove. And then we're also gonna raise it as a little bit higher. 6 inches or 5 inches is as high as we can go, 4 inches before we get to the turning valves on the HVAC systems. They need a couple inches from them, so we're gonna be able to lift it a little bit too, just to make the room feel a little more comfortable. And then, because these will go up and down, we actually kind of need about that much too, to get that with everything attached to there.
Well, and new light fixtures too, so you wouldn't want to have that old ceiling with new fixtures.
Well, so, yeah, and actually, that's that going back up to Jared's electric quote. I talked with Corey, because if you remember, we did new lights 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It's kind of throughout the whole courthouse, especially in Loftus Center. So we did visit the fact, because there's a glare issue on a lot of the monitors in the dispatch center. And there's gonna be probably a more issue with that, because these monitors coming up will be bigger. But they'll be able to be adjusted more, so hopefully we can mitigate that. But there is not a light that's really any better than what we currently have now. So our plan was thinking we were going to replace lighting, but after talking with Jared's Electric, it wouldn't make a cost-effective sense to do that. We'll try to reposition these lights in a little better situation with the ceiling being replaced to maybe mitigate that glare. But replacing the lights to just replace them it would just be wasting money, we feel, because we're not gonna get anything a lot different than what we already have. So, good point though, Dan, on the two, you see Gemini Acoustical and FM Acoustical. Those are two ceiling vendors we did quoting for, because we don't have a vendor. You'll see these other vendors we're using on a day-to-day basis in our center because of the security issue. We need to have the people that are coming in and out vetted and secured with certain clearance. So we'll need to do that with these two vendors, but that is not together. That is just individual expenses.
Just going back to the lighting, maybe just thinking outside the box a little, but would any kind of track lighting help or mitigate your glare issue?
Dimmer. We did install dimmers on the first project, so it's all dimmable within that room now. Individual by position. I left it up to Corey when he came with Jared's Electric to ask him what those solutions would be, and he didn't bring that up.
Track lighting, you'll lose some headspace. Track lighting usually hangs down from the ceiling.
Or sometimes is along the walls and, is directional.
And the other thing we have, which we don't know about yet, is there's ambient lighting within these consoles as well. So the furniture itself has ambient lighting. And we're hoping that that'll help us with some of that too. It's not that it's not bearable. It's just that if we're doing this, I mean, obviously, since we put the old lights in, we've just been dealing with it. But we were doing this project, we thought we'll visit. It's not like you would say from an operation standpoint, it's not like it's not bearable. It's just.
See, because that's the. It'll make a huge difference.
You'll have more centralized lighting on the desk itself is where they're trying to get that light now.
They'll dim the ceiling lights down.
I dealt with work, or what we've done at work is we have lamps that'll clamp to the top of your monitor and they'll shine on your desk too. So you have to do that too. And you change the color, the temp of the light and strength of it too and stuff.
And these new desks come with heaters. Cause it's hard to control. Everybody has a different idea what the perfect temperature is and stuff. Once they having those space heaters and stuff, they'll actually heat in the desk so they can control their own temperature.
Right now, we just run space heaters everywhere, right? So one operator likes it warm, the other operator, it's too warm, so it's a less desirable situation for people who are into enforcement of code situations, probably. But it's just what we got, because it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can't leave. So,
Right.
It needs to be somewhat accountable to them. So, but yeah, so that's a good point too, I think. And that is included in that Zybex quote. But let's see, so yeah, we're going with the FM. Well, the acoustical part, there's two quotes. Gemini and an FM acoustical. The FM is about $20 more than the Gemini, but we feel that the feedback in working with FM acoustical better, even though it is $20 more. We feel like we're getting better results.
They've been very. Thanks. File that's well better equipped for a dispatch center. Now we just have the old. A higher rating. Actually makes the room.
We have a big issue right now. People in the booking room can hear everything that's said in the dispatch. It's fault, they just can. That's not good usually, so this will help with that hopefully, so.
It's not just the conversations, it's the radio traffic, the phone conversations. Pretty much you can hear it word for word. So now we mitigate that by turning on an AM FM radio in the booking room when there's someone in there. But it's not desirable because then you got background noise in there. And then if someone walks in to try to do business, what's being recorded is hard to hear. We're getting by, but so we're hoping to mitigate some of that with this too.
It sounds funny, but they actually do work really well. I've even noticed them in hallways where they've changed the tiles from these old styles to that. And you can even walk in, you hear less of the difference and stuff like that. So that there's truth to that. So.
With the new desk setup, that'll have a lot of fabric material that'll help deaden the sound too. Are any of them, they're gonna be concrete block, or are those all gonna have some type of a wall treatment on them?
Right now, they're all concrete.
Because even something as simple as hanging up just, you know, an acoustical panel.
We talked
on
about that.
block will help
Yep.
deaden that
We
sound,
talked about.
so it
plugging
doesn't
in that.
bounce and come out.
And yeah, we talked about doing that as we move forward, but there's gonna be some cabinetry, as you can see in that handout, that's wall mounted and some desktop stuff. And so we'd like to kind of get that in and then see where we're at with the ceiling. And then we might have
Yeah.
some stuff in the future for that.
Yeah, you got a big blank block
Yeah.
wall, that sound's gonna bounce off of there.
Central Square quote. So basically, we have a 911 mapping license at each position right now, positions 1 and 2 in the dispatch center itself. We do not have mapping on the third position out. That's going to be the primary position during this. And we also found out that during an electrical outage here about 2 months ago now, that we lost everything in the dispatch center for a short while. And we were out in the squad room, but we didn't have 911 mapping because we didn't have it at that position because it's expensive and to keep it up. But now we're obviously gonna need to add that license, and that's $7,800. So we've made that. And then there'll be an annual renewal. That's just like our other 2 licenses, and we want to run this in perpetuity into the future for all 3 positions to have. But the biggest expense is this first licensing, and then your annual renewal and service and all that stuff.
I understand how the power outage affected that, because everything's on the generator and everything's run off. I don't understand.
Well, in the perfect world, it would be great, but that doesn't always happen. And when it happens, there wasn't an explanation for some of that on why it happened, but we lost, the computer stayed up, we lost some monitors at the time. And the monitors wouldn't recover for a while. And so,
Because that momentary difference when it switched over from shore power to generator power, that was enough to pull it down. It wasn't on a UPS.
yeah, Bill and I have tried to figure out what happened there, and we don't really have an answer why that is, but when we do our tests every week, it works flawlessly. So it's not remember we had problems a while back with the grounding bar we found out had a loose screw. Well, it's not that issue. I mean, we're running fluid, just for some reason that interruption had a different heartbeat, so to speak, in and of itself, and we had a problem there. But it proves the fact of the more conditions, because we could just move a person to the other position in the other room with different power supply in that room, and it worked fine. So, but yeah, we're still kind of out.
It's an enigma why.
Yep,
You know,
we don't quite have that answer for this.
Is the renewal fee similar to this fee?
The what?
Is the renewal fee similar?
No, and I don't have the renewal fee. It's, I think it's like. Yeah, is it? Yeah, it'd be $1,500 for this license. An annual renewal fee.
The maintenance fee.
Yep, and that's what it is. It's maintenance and service for the license, right? So
Okay.
it isn't, you're not, I mean, you're buying software.
Right, but all the software stuff is kind of a racket. I mean, they get a pretty big fee for doing not much.
And if you don't do the maintenance and updating, then eventually you don't have it. That, yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's. I certainly agree with you on that. It gets frustrating.
Right, well, especially when you need three of them,
Oh. Right.
or for the county, you need 70 or whatever, however many there are.
Printer, Bill, you wanna just. Printer and anything else that you wanna bring up with. Up there that we haven't hit right or?
So I assume you guys have. It's some little mini packet. It's got
Yeah.
So currently at the top, jailer. Two of the HP, and that's the model number that FP 479. The original purchase price was roughly $2,400 for the pair. And it just kind of, it breaks down pages per month, cost, consumable cost, cost per page. And it goes through all of that, so the replacement from Century Business Products, otherwise known as Century Business, at the bottom there is that Kyocera 4500 CI. Purchase price there, page, cost per page, and then the total monthly cost at the far right. Obviously those HPs are fairly expensive to run now. As they age out, consumables get higher because there's less of them out there, and so toner's just more expensive. They don't make as much of it anymore. So a substantial difference there in cost, and those HPs are pretty well worn out now at that 4-year mark. Below that is the squad room, the separate set of machines. Currently we're using Conoco Minolta, managed by Marco, and Rico, managed by A&B Business. There's the cost there. Total monthly cost and the total between the two companies at $389.27. I did just notate that Marco does charge freight for sending supplies, where I've never seen that before. I've never really worked with Marco in my history. They do charge a $30 freight cost every time they send consume out part of that managed contract. They charge freight on it.
even things as simple as printer cartridges that cost that $30 for something that weighs.
Yeah. And
Next to nothing.
remember too, that these are full-size big copiers, and so your cartridges are
Bigger.
5 pounds.
Okay, thank
So-
you.
So, yeah,
Not quite as,
yeah, no, it's not your little cartridges that you're used to, it's on a much larger scale. So that's the current solution there, the Marco and the A&B. Century Business Products there, solution for the squad room machine to replace both of those with a single, slightly larger machine. And you can see the total cost of $140-143 from Century. At the very bottom of that, not very bottom, but there it says Access Combo. We also got a quote from Access Systems. The way they sent their quote is combined, and it's hard to break apart between the two machines. But their total cost between the two machines would be that $238.95. And that little sub breakout below that is Access has, I want to say it's between 5 and 15% rate increase year over year to add to that contract. And so just wanted to make sure that was aware. So at the very bottom there, current monthly cost at $794.03 is the cost of the machine and the monthly consumables. Same thing over across to the Century and the Access Systems. It's just taking that total cost over 8 years. We expect the larger machines to last 8 years, where your smaller HPs last about 4. And then below that is just consumable cost per month. So that 354.76, current 145.50 for Century, and then 138 to 178 over the course of 8 years. Then behind that is what the individual companies actually. There.
Is this all part of the remodel bid? That would be,
So
This is the number.
the the printer that is the 4500 CI is rough, depending on which option we go with here, right? The purchase outright price was $3,933.26, so it's what I used to plug that number in there. That's gonna be part of the dispatch remodel. The other one is a simple purchase above and beyond the remodel. Just because we need to update some printers. So.
Yeah.
That would.
Yeah, the squad room, the biggest thing, when we started looking at it, was originally just the dispatch. HVs, because they are getting wore out, they need to be. I just kind of came across some of the Marco and the A&B and having two large machines in the squad. And then there was some questions about the bills. What the charges were, and I thought.
So while we discussed this, because of these questions kind of came up on the bills, like what is this for, why are so we currently have 4 printers. 2 of them copy scan. They all copy scan, so 4 of them. This will take it down to 2 with our whole office. To help us not only maximize our inventory to keep it lower, because now we have to keep so much of so many things with different models. We're also going to be dealing with one make, 2 different models, but we don't have 2 companies and you guys. So, we don't have this. This is what's going. We just feel like it's going to save money in the long run, first of all, and it makes more sense that we get rid of to downsize this equipment if we don't need it all. We did need it in the past, but now this equipment can do some pretty amazing things. And
that's a good idea to have them both compatible, it's like say, same company, same representative, same.
well, the one thing we talked about is we have at any given time 30 different users, and someone walks up to a Rico, Nolta doesn't run the same.
No.
Buttons aren't the same.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got some, not that anybody did anything wrong, but now there's errors.
Mm-hmm.
This one you hit this button and this one you hit this button, and
All of a sudden you got 10 copies.
he's up there, or we're calling for the help desk, or for the company. So I just think it all should save some money too. Quite a bit of money. So I think it's a good thing.
I'm just a little confused between which of the Century or Access System proposals are you recommending? Because of the variable cost, it's hard to determine which is actually the cheaper.
As of right now, Century has no plans on raising their rates, so their monthly rate will be that 145.50. Access Systems in the beginning will be 138. First of 8 years should be. So given the dollar amount right off the bat per month of, I would recommend Century.
Even though the top number is higher to begin with.
Yeah. So your initial purchase price is slightly higher for this Kyocera. But
that's not a monthly cost versus the.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So your initial purchase price, I just broke that down. I included the consumable cost and the purchase price and broke that over the.
Okay.
I looked at it too, Luke, and went, Ryan, that's why
Right.
That's why he's here.
Well, I mean, you know, if you had a spreadsheet that showed it all, it'd be easier to figure out, but yeah. Okay.
Well,
Any
for,
questions?
I think for today, we're just talking about this one, right? I mean, for this project, we're just talking about,
This project, but we do want
We want-
to move forward with both of them. If we're
right,
gonna
but
do
that
the
would probably be
one,
a
we
separate,
feel-
a separate proposal, maybe. I'm not sure how you do that, Steve.
We can do that at,
For, you need the two different motions, you mean?
Yeah, if this was, the first one would be part of the whole package.
right, that's the top one, the 4,500
Right, but then
CI,
if we
right?
want one for the squad room, that'll be a different,
And
that'll be
that's
part of the
the,
dispatch.
that's the Kyocera 4054 CI for the squad room, right?
But we are looking for both of them to move forward. Because really it's separate projects, but
Sense to do it now. Yeah.
Right.
Some of this one can come out of our.
Yeah.
Lot
yeah,
of
we
it.
can cover some of the costs of the second one out of gun permit.
That's at
money.
least half.
Because we use that to print a lot of gun permit stuff, so, and we've done that in the past with our monthly invoices, are coding some of them out of, so it does. Some of that restricted money, some of this purchase or whatever costs, whatever options we end up doing. Then we can take some of that and do that too.
It's nice, the remodel is gonna be covered by something other than levy dollars.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Another
Guys.
reason why you can push it off for a couple of years, so we get that built up, that money built up.
Right.
How much is in that?
Just got it,
Oh. Bring it with me.
we get from the state for the 911 funds, about 163,000 a year. That breaks down to 13,000 a month. Right now, we're sitting at 289,000 in our budget.
Okay.
Now, some of that, we spend about half of that on whenever we can, maintenance fees, whatever we can possibly put on there, we do, but then we get audited, we gotta. We gotta do it right, so,
Right.
but this is. I mean, everybody did a really thorough job trying to get to the dollar amount, now we all know. Something always happens, it seems, but this is the most accurate numbers we could come up with, and it's, right now, we're well covered. I think the total was 170,
So roughly, then we've got some,
yeah, a few little things yet.
yeah, a couple of small things at the end here, well, they're big numbers, but. Some monitors we need, the screens for the counts for the positions, they need to be updated. We haven't updated them recently because there's no room. Now there'll be room. So they do need to be done. We're asked, talked with Bill about that. We're estimating about $6,000 for both positions. The one in the position 3 won't need to be, those are updated. Paint and materials, stuff for the walls, just put 500. I mean, that's probably a little high, but there we are. And then we have not heard any correspondence back on chairs. We were looking at updating 1 or 2 chairs. And they're roughly about $2,500 for a pair. So that would be
All the
part of this.
demolition and stuff, basically, myself and Mike will come in and we can tear all out, and Bill will help with the wiring and stuff, so we're gonna do whatever we can, paint, whatever we can on our own, we're gonna do.
Roughly about $185,270 with the quotes and estimates we have here on this today. And again, that's not including, not to confuse that second printer copier. That's all by itself, standing alone.
Some of this money in this account too has to be spent by July.
Yeah, July of twenty
There's
twenty-five.
a special grant they sent out, and that's in this account, and that's gotta be spent by July. So we'll use that up first. And then the rest.
Cause this will be completed by then.
Yes.
We hope so.
We
yeah.
do hope so.
We've been saying that for a couple of years, but I mean, I feel like we're close enough to bring it to you guys for discussion.
When would it start?
We're hoping February,
Oh,
the second,
you did
third
that.
week of February is what we're hoping.
This is only out, the equipment's only out maybe 6 weeks, but yet we have to get the carpet lined up, the Jared's electric lined up, and Bill's gotta be around. You know, everybody's gotta be ready for that week to really hit it, so.
These are all fresh bids, you know, some of them say they're only good for 7 days or whatever,
No.
but
They're as close as we could get with
Yeah.
what we had, yep. The Zybex one is probably the oldest one, and that's,
it's the biggest one probably.
Yeah, that was, October 22nd.
yeah, so.
That's relatively fresh bid then.
Cause we Ibex for quite a few different meetings back and forth, that things weren't quite right, didn't look right. We're gonna do this, let's get it right. And so that took a few different whacks at it there to get that done. And,
We'll have lockers for all the dispatchers and jailers, their own lockers and stuff, so. It'll be nice.
so I forgot, I must have left the email that Keith gave me that he requested from Mary. My memory serves me correctly, it's like $289,000 in that account right now. In the E911 fund. Roughly 80,000 of that is this money we need to get expended. It was a one-time PSAP money we got in 2023, maybe.
I think that sounds right, yeah.
We had 2 years to get that kind of spent, or anything that helps the PSAP run more efficiency in transferring data. So we didn't want to just start throwing money at things. We knew we were going to have this coming, and we wanted to keep it in line. So, and then we have roughly 163,000 that will come in now in 2025 as well.
Plus another 28 this year yet.
28,000 this year yet too, on those numbers. So we should have more than enough to cover what this project is gonna do out of those funds alone. And as far as we know, other than what's been presented here today, that second printer copier for the squad room, this should all be covered with that money. If we run into anything else, we can't think of anything it would be.
Can that second printer just go in now? Can you do that with the money or not?
I think we're hoping that's the case, right?
I mean, I don't know why,
Suggested.
I don't know why we'd wait on that.
Yeah, we're hoping that happens, that's kind of why we wanted to bring it in one presentation, even though it's kind of two things. Is that we can keep that moving, because we're having really limping by in dispatch and jail right now, so. And the other ones are, like I said, it's just, you get a bill for this, you're gonna get a bill for that, and it's like, what, you know, so.
We're not paperless, obviously.
Well, I will entertain a motion to approve the dispatch remodel, if somebody wants to do that. Thank you, Luke. Is there a support for it? Thank you, Chris. Any other discussion?
Is that including that second printer?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
because of the color line.
Okay.
I'm just very impressed with how much you planned and how much work you put in.
Yeah, it looks pretty
Yeah.
well thought out.
It's been, I mean,
And the
everybody,
coordinated
it's
efforts is amazing.
everybody, I mean, we've taken the input from all the dispatchers. We've just had to have some people take kind of a lead in organization.
We've gone to Sioux Falls, different counties around Minnesota, looking at what's out there, because spending so much money, you want to do it right the first time, so.
Looks like a lot of work.
It's been a strong couple, 2.5 years, we've been kind of really eyeing it up, and I think that it's been going well.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of things we liked and a lot of things we didn't like, and glad we took the time to go look and have some conversations with people.
Well, thank you and your staff for doing that prep work. That makes our decision much simpler. Which,
Appreciate the support.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Just about thought I was gonna forget, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, they're packing up to go. We gotta vote on this.
Thank you, guys, again. Happy remodeling. Filled up our time, Steve.
Look at this first color.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Look at the one in the grayish color.
Yep.
That's looking down at the space that's there right now and where they're gonna put it. So your entrance into there from the squad room would be through on the right and coming in. And then the jailer's desk is over on the far left of the picture, and then the main dispatch. And then the little window that faces out into the hallway is right there,
There,
that dark
yep.
spot.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, sure.
So it kinda gives you- That's a little point of reference of where they're working on.
Yeah. Well, they open
Lockers there on the
The
right.
lockers, and to get rid of, there's a table and some like mail slots and stuff in there. So this will. Things up a lot, and make it a lot more user friendly for those folks to be working. And then the second page is you'll just see how it's laid out. And then third page actually shows it a little more. They've kind of superimposed it. The pictures of it, superimposed it on the site.
Yep.
So, yeah, so it's kind of awesome.
Looking at each other yet. Amanda's coming at 10:15. Take a break till then.
We're back.
We are back in session. Welcome Amanda Sandy, Auditor Treasurer. Morning.
Survived the election. Congratulations.
Can't say I survived quite yet, but.
Tomorrow is canvass at 9:30. Is that
Nine,
9?
and
And you two guys have to be there because
Yep.
we can't be.
No, I can be there.
going.
Yeah, we'll be there.
So here today to talk about audit bids. If you recall, I Bailey was our current auditor. They have decided they are no longer going to be auditing Minnesota counties, so we had to go out for bids. We received, sent out for multiple, but we received 3 back. I gave you a summary sheet of kind of their breakdown on what they bid for. They did a 3-year bid for the audit services, if there would be a single audit, and then additional expenses. The audit and the single audit are easy to compare. The extra expenses, as you can see, like Abdo, they didn't even reference it in their bid. But generally, charge you for whatever the actual costs are for those.
Does that amount to much typically?
It's mostly what I've seen is when they're coming to on site, because now a lot of the audit firms do the hybrid, and all 3 of them basically said they'd mostly be doing a hybrid model, which is mostly remote work. And coming here on site if needed. And so then that's when they charge us for mileage and whatever else.
So really, there's no, as long as it's online, there's no additional cost.
Yes, not. And then otherwise, the one thing I've seen from, the previous auditors, which would be the same with all of them, is if there is something out of scope. So something in addition to what was part of the normal audit or single audit that was bid. The past few years, I guess, we've had these new GASB rules. So like down below, I had the Eide Bailey costs that we have actually paid for the past 4 years. And I made note if there was a single audit and then there was the GASB change. So those usually resulted in some extra work for the auditors, and so then they charged us. Fingers crossed there won't be any more because they've had quite a few the last 4 years, but yeah.
I'm guessing the new administration will have less regulatory impacts. That's what they always
Stay
talk,
tuned.
they talk about it anyway.
We'll see, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Amanda, on the right-hand side of the Baker Tilly, you got that 2,800, 45, 29. What are those numbers?
So those are, if you see that reimbursed expenses, it says 5% billed plus
Okay.
OOP, which OOP is the out of pocket. So in essence, those numbers would be included. That 5% is the 5% of the audit fee. So they would probably be 100% charged in extra. That's just how they do it, that they add that 5%.
And like a tip. So Brady Martz apparently is the low bidder.
So yes, when it came down to it, if you look at just the audit services, they were all somewhat close to each other. Baker Tilly's single audit was quite high, if that would be the case, that, and there is a good chance, it sounds like that 2025 will be a single audit because of some highway projects. So in essence, all three firms seem to be good. I reached out to other counties that utilize them and got the most part good reports. Baker Tilly being the highest. Kind of put down at the bottom of the list because of that. Brady Martz, they are more of their audit clients are Northwest Minnesota, North Dakota. Abdo, Ike and Myers have some that are a little bit closer to us, Yellow Medicine, Big Stone County, some of those, so.
Brenville.
Yeah, Brenville. So although Brady Martz is probably the lowest, my recommendation would probably be Abdo. But they all are,
I mean, regardless of where their clients are, counties are counties, and
yeah,
doing an audit should be standard work.
it is, yep. There was one county that did say with Brady Martz, they were still working on them and they were working on a previous year. So they were kind of struggling a little bit with getting their audit completed. But that was that county. The auditor treasurer said that she knew a city that used the same audit team and a school district and they were having no issues. So I'm not sure what was going on. Particular instance.
They might have just had something
So
that happened odd in their county and it was dragging out because of it, or.
Obviously, you've done a lot of legwork. It wasn't easy coming up with some bids on this and look at the list. I recognize a few of these firms, Clifton Larson, Baker Tilly. I've heard of those and some of our other joint powers. Do you guys recognize some of these other ones? Have you heard of these other ones at all?
I haven't heard of Brady Martz. I've heard of Abdo and Baker.
Okay.
And just to let you know, those others that didn't have anything on there, those were ones that we had
Didn't
sent.
submit.
They responded that they weren't gonna. Steve and I actually met with a representative partner from Clifton Larson Allen. And the only reason that they just scheduling wise, they could not.
Okay.
We had a lot of good experience and discussion with that person and it would have been a really good option had they been. I did talk also with the state auditor's office and how they, there's a certain window that you can put into them to get bids and we missed the window.
Oh, for
So
a
it would
state
be,
audit, yeah.
you know, you have to almost like, again, probably for their scheduling, you need to get that in quite in advance. They did say though, that if you're ever in a bind and need it, they will help out however is needed. But so that's why we don't have anything from the state auditor or those other firms.
But don't I recall from history that generally the state audit was much more expensive than private audits?
And that was before my time, but yes, that's what
It was more than this years ago.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
guessing it wouldn't have gotten cheaper.
No.
These are all 3-year bids.
yes, yep. And the one thing with the state auditor, when I talked to him, he said that they have to bid based on their actual costs. So they could give an estimate, but there would never be this is our bid type thing. It would always be billing at actual cost.
So your preference, your recommendation would be to go with the Abdo. And we can justify that because over the lower cost one of Brady Martz because.
Again, it's.
We talked about that and I just,
Timeliness.
time and also distance away from us. I know everything like Commissioner Johnson says can be done online, but they have a very small portion of counties in Minnesota. I mean, we're talking Marshall, Kitson, Monoman, way up in northwest corner by North Dakota, where we felt that the Abdo bid, I like the idea of them having rural Minnesota counties like Yellow Medicine, Big Stone, Renville, you know, around our area as well. Plus they are in Minnesota as well. And their price wasn't the lowest, it was middle of the road. And felt that what we had spent on other bids, just, we both got good, I don't know, like good feeling out of it, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
I understand.
you know, good
So-
vibes.
It's not tangible, but it's.
No,
But it's,
They're out of Mankato and Edina. That's where their offices are. Eid Bailey does have a Mankato office, so just the thought being, it's kind of similar if they do have to come do field work.
Where is Brady Martz out of?
Their home office is Bismarck.
North Dakota?
Yeah.
but we're not going to endanger ourselves by not accepting the low bid here. We're not required to take a low bid in this case.
At this point, because it's services,
Yeah. By passing.
I
on.
mean, other than the fact that they don't serve any counties around here. I guess I'm struggling with why not use take the low bid? I mean, you know, they're qualified to do the work. They're doing it in Minnesota counties, which are rural.
I can understand, like I said, that gut feeling you have, the comfort level. I appreciate that.
Right, but I mean, then it's
We're-
almost, you know,
Scrutinize, can we withstand the scrutiny?
right, I
of
guess
saying
I would
we
make a
did?
motion that we go with the low bid of Brady Martz. Throw it out there.
I'll second it.
Oh, they'll be able to do the job.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion?
It's more discussion, I guess. I understand it. But I also don't want to undercut the recommendation from Amanda and Steve either. I want to respect their opinions.
It is a significant amount of money.
Yes.
Not
yeah.
just 1,000 or 2,000.
Can we, does it have to be a 3-year? Is there an out clause on this that if we're not happy after a year that we can go ahead? We don't have to go all 3 years.
when we proposed it to them, we did 3-year, but we certainly can. If that's what you would want to do, is to accept them just for a 1-year type thing, I can reach out to them and see if that is.
How's the wording in
Acceptable
the
to us.
contract as far as an out clause, an exit clause?
So there's no real, we don't have a contract with them. They gave us the proposals. So I imagine, did you guys get copies of the proposals?
No, just
But
the,
then we would have a letter that would set forth all of the years that would be covered and the costs. And then each year you do have to do another one, but there is gonna be one standard engagement letter that's gonna have all 3 years in this.
The bid will definitely be higher if we only go 1 year though. Because it's setting up all the,
If you do 3 years, I think what Dan's asking, is there an out?
Yeah,
And you, after 1 year, you don't like what they did.
yep. Can we break the contract? But it's not a contract, it's a bid.
Right.
That's
They're
what
for
you're saying.
services.
Engagement that.
Okay,
I'd be open
Again,
to,
I
you know, you
imagine
could
they're-
certainly just say you'd like to have that option, you know, in case,
That experience, so.
yeah, you aren't
You
satisfied
never
with their
know, it'd
work.
be a good idea to
Yeah.
have it out
Right.
if you need it, yeah.
Just say, you know, because we've never worked with you before, we'd like that option.
but again, if, and if they are a qualified firm,
Right, which I would assume they'd have to be.
we'd have a
here.
hard time excluding them.
Right,
And we do know of references that you said there are some other counties they do work for, but they're up in the northwest part of the state.
mhm.
That's correct.
Yep, so
If they do have to travel down here for any onsite, is the mileage gonna make up the difference of the savings? Is it gonna get eaten up? Are we comparing apples to apples here?
and, one of the firms that is with them was a long-term client. One of them just is 1 year. She said that they are very new to them. Her comments were just that the portal that they use for us giving them information and them coming back to us is confusing. It was hard to see what was new, like if they had new requests. So that was just their portal that they were using, whether that's changed since then. I can't say that was in, I talked to her October 29th. So that was just the comments I had on that one.
Have
And
those
like I said,
offices.
the other one had been a long-term, been with them for quite some time.
Abdo's offices are out of Mankato, you said,
Yes.
and Brady is out of,
Bismarck.
Bismarck.
okay,
My opinion is buying local. I would,
Buying local.
I would rather buy from a Minnesota company than a Bismarck company myself.
and if they do have to come for an on-site visit, is our savings here on this bid gonna be eaten up by mileage expenses?
Unless they came
It'd be
repeatedly.
a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
$26,000 worth.
With your previous audit, did they come in person much?
Yes, since I've been here, I Bailey came at least 1 day, if not 2.
Yep.
I mean, even if they came too, it's not gonna eat up that much
Not that
difference.
much money, no.
And if they bring a team here, do we get charged one mileage rate or do we get charged mileage for every member of the team?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
That's beyond our control, how they travel and what they
Yeah.
charge and
Just
all that.
still looking at my little notes, I still would stick with my preference would be going with the Abdo, but all of them are capable of doing the audit and I have no way of knowing who's gonna be the easiest to work with. I just am going off of some of the other responses, which was that one of them was long-term and have never had any issues. Other two were newer clients, so I didn't get very much information just because they're newer.
I also believe that doing 3-year contracts with these companies allows them to financially figure out how they want to work with us too, instead of a one. They might charge us, we're only gonna give you 1 year, we'll charge you more for just one, but a multi-year, because they know they've got business for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's an effect too.
Chris, we haven't heard from you.
I know it's difficult. I see both sides of it here. There's savings and done now quick to $26,400 if we do go with a lower bid, but then I
That's
do
o-
see
That's over 3 years, so. So it's only
if we divide that by 3, then
$9,000
Yep.
extra per year.
which could possibly be potentially eaten up for sending a team from North Dakota. I do see that end of it too. But at the same time, I guess the Minnesota counties they're dealing with, I don't think are a ton different than us though either. But so I don't know. I'm just tough decision. I mean, there are a lot of questions that we've asked too that we don't have answers to. Like Dan asked, would the mileage be reflected on a whole team if they come down or more than one? I don't know. Is this something that we could wait till next time to get more of those questions answered? If we could
I
get,
think so.
or if any of them would be willing to do the 1 year, then we'd have, I think, a little bit more to go off of, because I do see both sides of it.
I hate kicking the can down the road,
I do
but
too.
if we do have time to wait, I will go ahead and make the motion that we.
We have a
table
motion on the
this
floor.
To table, I make a motion to table.
Already got another
this
motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor already.
In a second, but we can table that motion, right?
We could.
And that's my point. I move that we table the motion. Or the Robert's rules, isn't it?
I would second that. We could table it and
More information.
get more information regarding what their travel arrangements would be if they were to come on site. And if they would be willing to have an out clause that after 1 year, if we weren't satisfied, we could do something different. You know, but we prefer the 3-year contract, and as long as you do the work well, you're gonna be working.
That would make me feel a little more comfortable about this decision. We want to support your guys' opinion. We want to do what's right for the county. We also want to do what's technically correct here too, as far as low bids, so.
I do, going back to Dallas's comment too, with the Minnesota firms, if we definitely want to make sure that they know the Minnesota rules because they are different.
Does AMC, I know we got our vendors and so forth that support AMC. Do we know if all of these are part of the AMC sponsor group?
Griffin Larson, Allen is, and they didn't take us.
Right. Yeah.
Their preferred vendor,
Yep, and I Bailey was, or is, and they didn't take us either, so yeah.
so I guess that really doesn't matter.
So apparently they're not doing it because they need business.
No.
To make weighing out. Bring this into. Instead of gut,
Right.
there's more of a data structure to see.
I don't know how you identify a value for something that you don't know what it is. You know, since we haven't used any of these people before.
Matrix, I understand that concept, but again, matrix comparing apples to apples.
Right.
But yeah, if you guys don't mind tabling it, we get more information.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see just what more, you can get from them. And you can reach out to both of them as far as that goes.
So if you just want to let me know specifically, I've got written down the 3-year, but if there's
Additional costs.
1 year.
Like an out clause in case we're not satisfied.
Yep, what it's
And
cost.
what their reimbursable costs would be if they were to come on site. More specifically.
And we need that from both county or both.
Right, from both firms, correct.
And I don't know if in North Dakota, if you want to reiterate to them, do you truly understand the Minnesota laws?
Well, they
They
work.
do,
with
they're doing
They
Minnesota
do,
work
they're doing
now.
Minnesota
They're
work.
doing.
Yeah, and they're small rural counties, so.
They also do some cities too, Grand Forks, Holly, Perham, Roseau, says on their list here. And they've got 5 school districts too, Monoman, Norman County, Kitson, Northome, and Thief River.
Could have some commissioners from those counties at AMC, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Or have a personnel committee with CPT. I know a commissioner that's from one of those counties, so Mass today.
Motion on the floor.
We have
to
a
table it
couple
till
motion on the
November
floor.
22nd.
The table motion first.
Excuse me.
I think so. I think we take action on the motion to table, don't we? Because that's.
right, because we're not taking action on the actual motion. We're just
Yep.
putting it to rest for now.
And then on the motion to table.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye.
And you made the motion. Who seconded it?
I did.
Luke.
Record my negative vote, please.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Veteran Service Officer.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Renee has been patiently waiting in the back there. Thank you. Good morning. You have something to say? A statement?
It's all on me here.
Oh, she just the, okay.
I have before you is request for board action. This came up, the information on the audit, to publish and had, Renee in there as the appointed veteran service officer. And I knew there was something about appointments to this, so I went back and looked back as far as I could and found that I don't know if it's how many times it's been done, but the only one I could find in all my notes and from what Sharon had way back in 2008 when Harlan was the VSO. And according to state statute, a veteran service officer every 4 years. Okay, that's a statute and haven't been abiding by it. So figured this is the time to done. So Renee was appointed originally April 17th of 2018 by statute of 4 years. Her reappointment should have been April 17th of 2022. I guess we can blame that on COVID if we want or something.
Sure.
But at any rate, her next term would be through April 17th of 2026. So I'm recommending that her appointment be reapproved through April 17th of 2026 to keep us in sync, and then that'll come back again in 26. I remember years ago having these done, but just fell off, and I apologize for not remembering that or knowing that, but sometimes it takes something else to jog your memory and find something, figure out what we have to do. So only action this would be to approve the motion. It doesn't have, it's not a resolution, it's a motion to do that. And this is under Minnesota statute 197.60. Her term would be April 17th, 2022 to April 17th of 2026.
That motion.
Thank you. Is there support?
Yes, there is.
Just a comment or two. It no way reflects on the job that you're doing. We didn't. I've not heard a bad thing about what you're doing for our service people, and really appreciate that. And thank you for your service on that.
Yep. And as a benefited from your knowledge and your tenacity, I'm happy to be able to second the motion. In fact, I'm sad that Doug beat me to it.
Sorry, I'll take my.
No. Thank you so much, Renee.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
Very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Couple of committee reports left, and that's it. That's my view, Steve. Chris, you're up.
October 8th at a CPT personnel committee meeting, we went over, chose the benefits and stuff for the team for the following year. On the 10th, we met as the cannabis committee, went through a bunch of recommendations. Southwest Health and Human Services kind of just painted out our policy. Doug was there with me for that. On the 24th, AMC District 8, which has been covered already. Or on the 24th. On the 28th, I had a law liaison meeting. Dan had mentioned about. I also had a CPT executive committee meeting where we accepted the personnel committee's recommendation, whatnot. And then on the 30th, I had a safety committee meeting. That was it.
Thank you. My report for October is October 8th, regular meeting. October 11, we had a AMC district prep meeting. It was a Zoom meeting to decide what's had to happen at the Lake Benton meeting. The 15th had an MHA trustee program. October 16 was Plum Creek. And one of the things that came out of that meeting is that our insurance went up 17%. So we were behind on coverage and some of the things. So there was a catch up to do 17%. 22nd was regular meeting. Afternoon was hospital board meeting. 24th was the AMC district meeting in Lake Benton. And the 25th was an Avera Board of Consultants meeting. Probably better give that report at the hospital board meeting, but it's the guys that are same guys here. But it was very interesting. Long morning we spent with all the movers and shakers in Avera. It was a room full of high power people from all around the area, and they gave regional reports from all different places. Mitchell, Marshall. They talked about a lot about the explosion down in O'Neill, Nebraska, that wrecked one of their hospitals, basically wrecked it. And just talked about the future. Their capital is going to be on this project. It's, they're gonna start their $250 million project, but it's gonna be a $300 million first. They got an AA- rating, Avera does, so that's helps with the money raising and the money. So it's, it costs $8 million a day to run Avera. Talk about days on hand of cash. It takes a lot of money to $8 million a day. It was very interesting meeting. 30th was an MHA meeting again. So, and that's my report. Anything else to come before this board?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
On inflation, right? 250 million to 300 million. Right.
That's before they started anything.
The darn inflation.